I'm Tom, and episode 4 of the driver's seat. Here we are. I missed last week. I think it's episode 4. I missed last week. It should be episode 5, but I missed last week. Just been really busy with work, started a new job, just all sorts of stuff going on. So I missed last week. No giant rugby ball in the back this time, and I will be fidgeting a bit because I just can't get comfy. But let's talk. I want to talk about like long day. You've been in the gym. I need to be more consistent with the gym. It's difficult to find. Really difficult to find the time. I'm struggling at the moment a bit. Just sleeping on my dad's, where I'm staying at the moment, and everything like that. It's difficult. It's really difficult. So I'm struggling a bit at the moment, and I haven't been able to get consistent. I know that's not a good enough excuse, so I'm holding myself accountable. I'm saying it on here. I need to get in the gym, get my routine going. You know, it's 3. I like to go 5 days, so I like to do push pull legs, but because I play rugby on a Saturday, it makes sense to do legs on the Monday. So I haven't got DOMs. So I do Monday legs, Tuesday plyos, Wednesday push, Thursday plyos, Friday pull, Saturday match day, right? And Sunday recover day. And it's pretty full on and stuff like that. And look, holding myself accountable. 3 days push pull legs. Got to try plyos in there if I can, but push pull legs. I just need to get, look at that. I'm not going to start flexing and stuff, but I'm just not where I want to be. Anyway, in case you couldn't tell, I'm having a difficult time at the moment. I'm going to try and sort it. I don't like to be a negative Nancy, and I missed last week. I really didn't want to. That said, let's just talk about what it means to be a man, because that's what got me thinking, right? I was like, I don't like being negative, but sometimes it's how you are. And I feel like as a man, it's almost, we're okay to speak about our mental health now, but I feel like it's still not okay to not be okay. I don't think it's okay to not be okay, right? I think not being okay isn't okay. You know, you want to be good, but that's a different conversation. That's a different conversation. But what I do think is sometimes it can be difficult to know what it is to be a man in this day and age. And I think that's what I want to talk about. The final thing I'll say is, what do you want to see on this channel? I'm going to cover some more football going into the next season. I've got a friend, Tyler, a friend of mine called Tyler, who loves his football. He knows his stuff. He's a good player as well. So I'd love to get him on board. And we'll do some football content. Is there anything else you'd like to see? Any sort of series? Anything you'd like me to cover? I'd like to do more rugby. I love my rugby league and rugby union. And the alternations are coming up, so I'd like to cover that. Anyway, let's talk about what it means to be a man, and not these loud, shouty, clippy little opinions. Like actually, you know, what it means, pressures, you know, strength, discipline. I've got a few notes down here so I can try and remember somewhat of what I want to say. And like I say, you got, you know, strength, discipline, emotions, silence, loneliness, self-respect, and what I've learned through my experience of being a man. Let's start with pressure, right? The pressure to always be strong and expected to be calm. You're always expected to be calm, and you're always expected to be strong. And there's a big pressure that comes with that no matter what I'm going through, I can't cry. Sit there and cry gets nothing done. And look, this is true. This is true. And people like Andrew Tate and things like that are kind of showing that kind of adding to that it's not okay to cry. Be a man, get up and get on with it. And there's a lot to be said about that. You know, again, that's true. Crying won't get you anywhere, but actually sometimes having emotions needed. You know, you're getting like a psychopath, and and no one wants that, right? So I don't know. I think there's just a lot of pressure to have that, and I think real strength, you know, I think real strength is discipline. I think real strength is accountability. Real strength is consistency. You know, real strength isn't just how heavy you can lift in the gym. Real strength is holding yourself accountable when you're doing well, but also holding yourself accountable when things don't go as planned. And when things are going wrong and things are going bad, being accountable for that, having that accountability, and having the discipline that even when things aren't where you want them to be, even when things aren't how you want them to be and where you want to be in life, you've got to keep going. You've got to keep going, because that's what being a man is, I think, is ambition. It's accountability to keep being disciplined about your goals and not just drinking away your weekends, partying away your weekends. Accountability for if you want to be where you want to be, get there. You know, people always say you are where you're meant to be. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're not where you're meant to be. Maybe I'm not where I'm meant to be, and I need to be accountable and disciplined enough to get to where I want to be. Because that can be true at the same time. You know, you're exactly where you should be. Maybe you're not exactly where you should be. Maybe where you should be is somewhere further down the line. And you need to be accountable, you need to be disciplined enough to get there. Maybe everything won't be okay. Have you thought about it? Maybe everything isn't going to be okay because you're not where you should be. And you're not getting to where you should be. And going out partying and drinking isn't going to get you there. You need to be disciplined and hold yourself accountable to go and get there, to get yourself there. That's the only way it's going to happen. Very few people are going to get given things in life. You know, you're not the Kardashians. You can't just get somewhere because you fall into luck because you're a pretty girl. You need to go and get there, and that's what it means to be a man. Hold yourself accountable. And, you know, knowing when to stay quiet, knowing when to speak. Again, this is about real strength. Knowing when that actually, I need to be quiet now. The big dogs are talking and listening to that. You know, I play rugby. I know when my coach speaks, when my captain speaks, now is my time to shut up. Now I be quiet. The captain's talking. Now I be quiet. The coach is talking. Knowing when to speak. Okay, we're winning the game. We're doing well. But actually everyone's getting stuck on that. Everyone's being happy about it. You missed a tackle 5 minutes ago. Yeah, we conceded a try we shouldn't over there. If you're going to piss like a puppy, go and sit on the porch. Let the big dogs play. And that's what you need to say. You need to speak sometimes. But also, we're losing. The coach has come on. He's given us a brief. Quiet. Let him do the talking. Enough's been said. 2 ears, 1 mouth. And that's for a reason. Knowing when you need to listen. Because 9 times out of 10, you need to listen. Your boss is speaking at work. Whatever it might be. Knowing when you need to speak. But knowing when you need to listen. And there are a lot of times you do need to speak. Speak your mind. Don't be quiet. Don't get pushed over. Don't get pushed around, told what to do. There are times you've got to speak. Speak up for yourself. Because no one else will. And if you're not going to, no one else will. So know when to do that. Know when to have that conversation. And say what you want to say. And knowing how to say it. Knowing how to say what you want to say is super important. Don't just speak for the sake of speaking. Don't just speak because you want to say something or you think it's right to say something. Speak with meaning. Speak with purpose. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes saying what you want to say in as fewer words as possible at the right time is more powerful than just always talking. You know, I should know. I can talk for England. But sometimes less is more, and saying things when they should be said, how they should be said, is better than just saying things for the sake of saying things. You know, that's not going to get you anywhere. Sometimes you've got to sharpen this and sometimes you've got to speak your mind. I'm just going to have a quick swig of water, guys. Hope you don't mind. It's going to be a bit of a long video. I've got into a habit of doing that. I don't know why. I can take my top off. Oh, don't knock my top. I take my top and I just don't know why I do that. It's not really got water on my nose now. Back to what I was saying is, yeah, speak when spoken to, speak when you should be speaking, but speak when you've got something to say. Don't speak for the sake of speaking. And I think another thing about being a man is loneliness and independence, expectations. Don't ask for help. And that's something I've really struggled with in my life is loneliness. I lost my mum when I was 16. I was evicted from my house, and this isn't my story, right? But I was evicted from my home at 14, and I lost my mum at 16. And the 2 years, I mean, nothing was great, but the 2 years between 14 to 16 of, you know, bouncing around, never really having a home. Sometimes, you know, very rarely having a bed to sleep in. was difficult. But even before then, living in the house I was evicted from was actually sold as a derelict building. So that gives you a sort of idea of the condition I grew up in. It was difficult. And there were a lot of times when growing up in that and then getting evicted and then mum passing away and having to go through my GCSEs a month after that and go through A-levels living on my own. And I felt very lonely. And it wasn't self-inflicted. It wasn't that I wasn't wanting help or people around me. It's that I felt that no one, and truthfully, no one really understood what the loneliness I experienced from that. I think is unrivaled to any loneliness I've ever felt, where I'm not on my own, but I'm alone. My family are there, but I don't want to burden them because they're going through it as well. My friends are there, but they don't really understand what's going on. And some of them haven't got the emotional whereabouts to be able to deal with me when I'm talking about my mum who's passed away and they're trying to sit their exams. And that loneliness was something that I really battled with. And I had a very good friend, a friend of mine called Max. He's a fantastic human and really pulled me through a lot of it. But for large portions of being 14, just scared of life is a very lonely feeling. And the expectations to just be able to go get on with it. I felt like my friends made it clear that they were there for me if I needed it, but I just sort of sometimes feel like I can't ask for help. And my family now, we're all older, we're all getting on with things. I feel like maybe I shouldn't ask for help because they've got their own lives and their own problems, and the expectation that I'm going to find my own way. The expectation that you're a man, you should be working and going to the gym and finding your way and having your hobbies. And these expectations that for a long while I wasn't meeting because I had the ambition, I had the dream and I had the desire, but 16 years old, I was broken. I didn't have the capacity to get off of my friend's floor after my mum had died and I was about to sit my GCSE exams and I wasn't eating, so I was ill, to drag myself down the gym. And, a lot of times I did, actually. I sort of forced myself to work out. But the expectation is that you got to find a way. You have to. But actually, that's difficult. That's really difficult. And I don't think that's maybe touched upon enough. The independence you're expected to just have. You're expected to be independent. You're expected to know what you're doing. You're expected to have an aim and a path and a road that you're traveling down, that you're going to get to the destination, but sometimes you just don't feel like you've got any of that. I feel like I know where I want to be in life, but I'm so far off the road, I don't even know where the road is. And that's the same now. The independence I feel now, I feel like I'm meant to be on this road of house, job, career, aspirations, car, and this. But in reality, I'm so far off the road to my end goal, I don't even know what the road looks like. I don't even know if I'm going to find it and then which direction to head on that road. That sometimes it's not independence that I want or need. And that's a difficult balance. And then, the masculinity and emotion, the balance between feeling and function, and the letting your emotions exist without taking over, I think is huge. And it links back to this loneliness, that letting your emotions, people say, look, you're a man, get rid of your emotions, be a man, get on with things. No, let your emotions exist. Feel how you need to feel. Believe you me, when I lost my mum, there was a lot of emotions. But you can't let them take over. You can't throw your life away because my mum passed away and I'm feeling sad and my exams are next month, so I'm not going to go and sit my exams because whatever. But actually, no, my mum's passed away and I'm very sad, and that's true, and let that happen, let that exist, let that be there. But you got exams to sit. GCSEs to go and sit. And my emotions can't take over that. I've got to go and sit these exams and get on with it and let my emotions do what my emotions are going to do and feel them. Don't bottle them up. Don't let them take over. Feel them and get on with it. And that, I think, is key in being a man. Is look, men can feel. Men feel too. Men have emotions too. Yeah, great. Don't let that dictate what you're going to do. And that's a lesson I've learned so much through my own life, but also seeing other people live their lives. I've really learned, yeah, you're going to have emotions. You're going to feel certain ways. And let that happen. That's okay. Do not let it take over or dictate anything. You need to be in the driver's seat. You need to be steering the car, in control of where you're going, not your emotions. And that's super important. That, I think, is what encapsulates masculinity. What, for me, is what encapsulates masculinity is having the emotional intelligence to feel how you need to feel without letting that take over what you're going to do. I think it's super important. And I just can't even read this. I think redefining, yeah, right. You need to be the one to define manhood for yourself. You know, you decide the type of man you want to be. You decide the type of man you're going to be. Not social media. Not Andrew Tate or these other platforms. You decide the man you're going to be. You decide the man you're going to be. Not social media. Not society. But you. You decide the man you're going to be. It's like that Harry Potter scene. Not me, not Hermione, you. You decide the man you're going to be. Not society, not social media, you. You got to make that decision. And then be that man. Be accountable. Be disciplined. Have the emotional intelligence to be able to do that. Being a man isn't about being emotionless. It's about being in control. It's about staying locked in even when everything is trying to break around you. Being a man is about being locked in even when everything around you feel like it's going to crumble. It's about not being emotionless, but being in control. You know, real strength is doing what needs to be done when you don't want to. Being a man is about doing what needs to be done when no one is watching. That's what, being a man doesn't mean you don't feel anything. Being a man doesn't mean you don't feel. Being a man means you don't fold. Being a man doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't fold. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think. I think masculinity isn't toxic. Silence is. And I feel like, I don't know, it's difficult. It's a discussion I want to have, and I think what that needs to be had more. But that's my opinion, people. You let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Don't forget to let me know what you want to see on my channel. I'll be looking forward to hearing it. Thank you so much for watching me. Make sure you leave a like, a comment, subscribe. You know all this YouTube, all this stuff works, people. Peace.